Hey everyone! Today I'm going to be talking about something a whole lot of people ask me about and have been for a few years since I got my first tattoo over scars. Just quickly want to address my makeup's a little messy because I had a photo shoot and had to wipe stuff off, and so my lips are stained and my eyes are a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. So tattooing over scars. A lot of you guys know that a few years ago, probably 3 years ago, I ended my journey as a self-harmer and got my self-harm scars tattooed over. And I just want to say, I'm not encouraging anyone to harm themselves because they can just tattoo over the scars later in life. If you are having, self-destructive thoughts where you want to hurt yourself, please seek help. You can get through it. I did, and tattooing over my scars was the best thing I did because I don't cut myself anymore. It really stopped me from doing so. I had a bunch of scars on my leg and I tattooed over them with my mom's handwriting. So as for that area of my body, those scars weren't extremely deep. When they healed, some of them were white, a couple of them were a pinky color, and they were most of them weren't raised, but some were just the slightest bit raised, maybe half a millimeter. So tattooing over those did not hurt more than a regular tattoo. I did not notice any difference. The only difference I did notice is that the ink didn't stay in as well where the scars are. So you can kind of see where the scars are. So that was the only, you can't tell unless you're looking for it, but I can still see where all the lines are. I could get it touched up, but I like the way it looks. It doesn't bother me. So in my personal experience, it definitely didn't hurt any more, any less, nothing. It just felt like a normal tattoo because the scars weren't that deep and they weren't that raised. So that's just and also the leg isn't a very painful spot to get tattooed. So that was my experience with that. And as for my chest, that was a totally different experience. The scarring I had was not only from, scarification cutting, but also from scarification branding, electrocautery branding. And also the skin was extremely compromised and thin because I had steroid injections in it to make it flatter. I also had nerve damage, not only from the scarification, but also from my breast augmentation. So my chest was a totally different experience. It was the opposite of tattooing over my leg scars. Tattooing over the scars on my chest is hands down, I'd say, the most painful experience of my life. Getting my chest branded maybe was number 1, and the tattooing was number 2. I had never cried from getting a tattoo before until I started tattooing the scarring on my chest. The chest is an extremely painful spot to get tattooed in the first place, but this definitely added to it. I think maybe it wouldn't have been as bad if I didn't get the steroid injections to make them flatter, but in order to have the best result for a tattoo, you want the scars to be as flat as possible. So I did get them injected so they would be flatter. It was definitely a more painful experience. I think if you're going to tattoo over scars, if your artist will allow it, maybe bring some numbing spray or use kind of a numbing cream, ones that are made for tattoos. A lot of artists don't like to tattoo someone who uses it for some reason. I've never had an issue. I think you should do whatever you can to make it the most comfortable experience personally, but that's just me. As far as tattooing over scars, it really depends on you. It depends on the area of your body, and it depends on the scars. Point blank. Sometimes it can be more painful, and sometimes it feels the same. So that's basically the main question and the main answer that I wanted to give you guys. So I just want to give some advice. If you're thinking of getting your scars tattooed over, the main thing is make sure that they are as healed as possible. If you can wait, 6 months should be the absolute minimum. They should be at least 6 months old, the scars. But I think the longer the better. if they're a year old or a couple years old, then that's definitely a better time to start thinking of tattooing over them. If they're still fresh, you can't tattoo over them. It's just not going to work. So wait as long as you possibly can. And also get your scars as soft as you possibly can. If they're raised scars or they have any kind of keloiding or hypertrophic scarring, not the flat ones because those usually feel pretty much the same, but if they're a little more raised, get them as soft as you possibly can. Do coconut oil and vitamin E oil massages on the scars every single night, and after like a couple months you'll find the scars getting much softer, and then they're way more likely to take the ink from the tattoos, and it's way more likely to be successful. So definitely get them as soft and like, you know, skin-like as possible. And also it's really important to make sure you find an artist that's comfortable doing it. Make sure before you go in for the tattoo, you let your artist know that it's going over scars. You don't have to, you know, tell them what the scar is from. It's none of their business, but you know, make sure you tell them, because a lot of artists won't tattoo over scars, and also you have to kind of tattoo it a little bit differently. So definitely make sure that your artist knows that it's gonna be a scar, like a scar cover up essentially. If they're willing to do it, there are also some things you should just know. There's a possibility whenever you're tattooing over a scar, you're opening the wound again, essentially. So there is a possibility that the scarring may get worse underneath the tattoo. Like it may puff up. It may, you know, make the scars worse. It's definitely a possibility you have to keep in mind. And also, a lot of times the ink won't stay in a scar, so you have to also keep that in mind. When, no matter what, you can't determine whether or not the ink is going to stay in a scar. You might have to get it done multiple times. You might have to do the tattoo in like layers and sessions. Like my chest, I had to do like keep layering it just to make sure the ink would stay, because you don't want to just blast it all in there at once. You know, keep in mind that you may have to do multiple sessions, or that it may not stay at all in every spot where the scars are. So that's just my advice. I would do everything you can to get your scars like flat before tattooing over it. And that's just my experience and my personal advice. I know when I was looking to get like my scars tattooed over, it was a little hard for me to find information on it by someone who had actually done it. So that's it. I hope this helped you guys, and whatever your scars are from, you can choose to accept them and embrace them. There's nothing wrong with having scars, but if you decide that you want to cover them up, that's fine too. And I hope this video helped you, and good luck with whatever it is you decide to do. Okay, stay sassy. Bye.